We have heard a lot about the young guys there because you have so many veterans kind of back. But how are those freshmen? Andrew was a highly ranked guy in recruiting. How are those guys kind of coming along?
Yeah, they're freshmen. You know what I mean? They're freshmen. They don't know what they don't know. But, again, the growth, I've been pleased in terms of the steps, right? Again, our job as coaches, man, is to expedite that growth and help those guys understand the process. And we've got a room that has been through that. We've been blessed to be able to maintain guys and guys grow as freshmen and sophomores, young in their career and grow to older in their career. So those guys paying it forward, and feeding into those young guys is a big part of that process as well. And they've done a good job at that. And so, excited about where we are. Marcus, Grant, those guys have worked. Now it's about continuing that throughout the season. So when things, they're prepared for those moments when they do come up, whenever they are.
How do you feel about that nickel spot?
Yeah, so we've been, in terms of our nickel position, been a little bit different than it's been in the past. We've got 3 solid guys there who all do a little bit different, you know what I mean? You got Jansen Dunn, who, has played in the secondary in terms of defensive back corner. You got Quashie Scott, who's played in the secondary defensive back corner, right? And then you got Jaden Smith, who's played overhang, right? He played more so in the box mentality. So being able to mix those two, those 3 guys and what they do best and kind of blend that position has been really good. But they all give us a different skill set, a different dynamic to our defense. And so excited about where it grows throughout the year.
Brad kind of expressed to us that he thinks you guys have some depth there, but it's one of those things that you just don't know for sure until you get to Saturday.
Oh, 100%. Like, it's kind of one of those deals. Every season is different, and so you don't really know until you get into a season, what the obstacles may be and how the guys respond and all that good stuff. But in terms of their preparation, in terms of the steps they've taken, being pleased. Now, the job is continue to elevate that, and so that's what we've been preaching and continue to work at. And those guys have done a good job and got to continue to do even better job of buying into that process of continuing to elevate my preparation, my work ethic, my mentality, all those things, and so they're ready for those opportunities when they're presented.
What kind of things kind of keep you awake before going into a season opener?
Well, it's the unknown, because it is. Every year is different. Every team is different. And that's what makes it exciting, but it also can keep you up at night because you don't necessarily know what exactly is going to happen. You prepare for everything that you can think of, right? But at the end of the day, like for example, last year we had Max go down, in Game 3, and so now you got guys who necessarily, maybe in their minds, weren't necessarily thinking they were going to be out in those moments, and they are. And so again, the unknown is something that you can't control, and so you try to do everything you can to control the controllables and get those guys ready. But they got to understand, they got to do the work. And so, excited about that process. That process is every year, ever changing, and so that growth part of it, man, is special to see. And we've been blessed, in the past to be able to see that throughout, right? We had young guys who were young and grew in the system. And so, you got guys like JQ and DJ, even Teron, who's a young guy, but he grew early in the system, able to pay it forward to some of those younger guys and all that. So, again, excited about the opportunity at hand.
I was standing next to Teron the other day, interviewing him, didn't quite realize how big and physical that he is.
Yeah.
What does that bring to the equation when he's playing the corner spot?
Yeah. So we got some guys with some length. Surprising length, it's something that we try to be intentional about recruiting. They may not all be 6'3", like DJ and JQ, but they're long, in terms of arm length and physical stature and all that stuff. And most important thing, man, we try to get guys that can run and love the game. And so he has all those intangibles, and he's got a lot of things that you can't see off the field, like work ethic, maturity, leadership, and so we've been intentional about his growth as long as the rest of the group.
Biggest difference in JQ and DJ since last season?
Yeah, I think, the process. The process for those guys, in terms of trusting it and believing in it and living that process. I think they've kind of seen the benefits, of what we're asking them to do. We're demanding that they continue to get better. They continue to grow, and they're trusting in that, because they've seen it. And they've seen other guys go through it. I think that's a big part of it too, man. They can look at the room and say, well, okay, I can see the film of this guy when he was this, and now look where he ended up, and got a chance to play on Sundays and reach their dreams. And so helped this team win a lot of ball games. And so, again, I think that's a big piece of the trusting in the process.
You're getting into your prep for Toledo right now. What jumps out at you and grabs your attention from them, from your position group standpoint?
Man, they're a good ball team, man. They really well balanced. I think Coach Campbell does a phenomenal job in terms of putting the guys in place to make plays. Quarterback's a really good player. Receiving core is really good in terms of their overall. And then they got playmakers that try to put the ball in space and try to get those guys opportunities down the field. And so, we got to be locked in. Excited about the challenge. We get a chance to finally go against somebody else other than us in practice. And so our guys are excited about it. Now it's just about staying consistent throughout. Staying consistent.
All right. Appreciate everything.
Yeah.